What's happening, guys? Steve here, Cars with Steve, and today we're going to be taking a quick look at the 2020 Lincoln Nautilus. Now, a couple things about this vehicle before we get started. It is made right here in Canada. Manufactured in Oakville, Ontario. This thing is a beauty. So I want to thank you guys so much for supporting the channel. Please make sure that you subscribe and like it if you do enjoy the content that I'm putting out. If you have ideas for future videos, things that you want to see, drop it down in the comments below. But guys, let's dive right into it and figure out what the 2020 Lincoln Nautilus is all about. Alright, so starting off, the 2020 Nautilus is not in a facelift year as of yet, so it is going to be the same as the 2019. Same thing, it's going to be the same in the 2020 year as well. There are going to be some different paint choices, few other options in there as well. Now, there are two engine choices that are available in the Nautilus. First choice, you've got the ability for a 2-liter turbo engine. The 2-liter turbo is going to give you 250 horsepower and 280 foot-pounds of torque. There is an option for a 2.7-liter engine as well. The 2.7 engine is going to give you 335 horsepower and 380 foot-pounds of torque. But guys, I absolutely love the look of the Nautilus. Now, this is the ochre brown color, which really looks kind of sharp when you see it. And some lights, obviously there, it looks a little bit black, and some lights it looks brown, but it is that metallic paint as well, which is really, really nice. Now, when it comes down to it, a couple of things that are going to be standard on the Nautilus across all the levels, across all the trims, I should say. So we've got our blind spot indicator system. That's going to let you know if anybody's entered the blind spot in the vehicle. But one of the nice things is that if you get the factory towing package in this thing, you're going to have the ability to tow up to 3,500 pounds. But one nice thing is that if you get the tow package, you've also got the ability to then extend the blind spot. Where that comes into play is, let's say if you've entered the trailer dimensions inside of the vehicle, you've now got the option for those blind spot indicators to highlight orange if somebody's not only entered the blind spot of the vehicle, but also of the trailer as well, which is really, really great. Now, when it comes down to a couple things, we do have a reverse camera, we've got the reverse sensing system, and there is the option for a forward sensing system as well. So as you can see, this one does have it. Now, because it's got the forward sensing system, that also means that we've got a 360-degree camera inside of this vehicle. Really, really nice. When it comes down to the key fobs, so taking a look, we've got our unlock button, our lock button, remote start, our trunk release, as well as our horn or our panic button. Now, a couple of things about unlocking the trunk. We can either double click. There's a button just underneath here so we can open it up. But one of the nice things about the Lincoln vehicles is that it also does have a foot-activated liftgate. So all we're going to do, take our foot just off to the side, slight kick underneath and step back. As you can see, voila. Really, really nice if you've got hands full of things, kids, whatever the case may be. But as you can see here, we've got a ton of space. Now, there are a couple things that are included here that aren't going to be standard. So there is the cargo protection package, which gives us this thermoplastic rubber liner. We've also got the option for a privacy shade as well. Really, really nice to hide things that you might have in the back of the vehicle. As we lift up this little guy, let's pop this thing open. So as you can see, we've got our mini spare tire with a jack. We've got our spigot if we ever need to fill up fuel in the vehicle using a jerry can, and we've got some storage space along the outside as well. Now, while we're on the topic of fuel for a second, so a couple things to point out. In order to fill up the tank, it's going to be just on the driver's side of the vehicle. Popping that open, as you can see, we've got a capless system. Now, when it comes to Lincoln vehicles, one thing to take into account, when we get the horsepower and the torque specs in the engines, they have used a premium fuel inside of it. So, do you need to use a premium fuel? No. Minimum manufacturer's recommendation is 87 octane, so you can get away with regular 87 gas, or you can use that premium gas if you want better performance out of it. Once you've filled up, all you're going to do, close, lock into place, and you're set to go. Now, one thing to note about the Nautilus, so a couple things in the back, we do have our hooks on both sides, so if you need to use the cargo net, you can do that. We've got a 12-volt adapter in the back, and we've also got power seats, so it is power down and then manual up. So what we're going to do is we're going to press and hold. As you can see, that's going to drop it down. Very, very straightforward. Let's hop along the side, and we're just going to press the button along the back in order to close that trunk. Okay, now, looking along the back here, now one of the things I love about the Nautilus is how much room is actually in the back of this thing. Oh, we can actually see a couple other accessories down there as well. So tons of room in the back, so as we hop in, Love it. It's beautiful, beautiful interior. This thing does have the twin panel moonroof up above us as well. Tons of room on the inside. So this is a 5-seater vehicle. If you need a 7-seater, you're looking at the Aviator or the Navigator. But if you're in the market for a 5-seater Lincoln, you've got the option for the Nautilus, or we've also got the Corsair, so the 2 white vehicles that are there. So there are options from a sizing perspective. Looking at the Nautilus though, a couple things about the back. We've got some cup holders there. Close that up, and we've also got the option for heated seats. So I should say heated seats are generally one that comes standard inside of this thing. Now when it comes to the heated seats, it's not heated seats for the whole back row. It's just going to be for the 2 main seats, the captain's chairs there. The middle row unfortunately is not going to be heated. Turn those on very, very simply by pressing the buttons, and we can also press this down. We've got an inverter built into the vehicle, so we can plug in regular wall outlets inside of this thing, which is really, really neat. And we've got our traditional cigarette lighter adapter as well. Other thing to point out, we do have a little bit of storage space in the back there. It's a little bit tight, especially when you compare it to the Corsair, but really, really comfortable. Now, I guess I should point it out while we've got you back here. So the driver's seat is set up for somebody that's 6 feet tall. I'm 6 feet tall. I still have, it's tight, maybe about an inch of headspace in the back. So it's a little bit tighter in the middle row, or in the back row. If you've got somebody that's taller in the back, you might want to get them to sit in the middle with that sunroof open. But other than that, it's really comfortable. I've got a ton of room for my knees, ton of room for my feet as well. Really, really cool. All right, so let's hop inside of this thing now. All right, so along our driver's door, now this one is the ebony interior. There are a few different choices for the interior. One of the ones I've really started to like the look of is this lighter interior instead. So look at this thing. I love, love, love if you can just kind of make it out through the reflection there. I love it. It's called the Cappuccino Perforated. So it's a Cappuccino interior, but I personally am really starting to love that look, especially in that white on white look. But again, matter of personal preference. So as we hop into this thing, a couple things to point out. Actually, first off, along our door, so as you can see, we've got our seat memory buttons. So we've got 1, 2, and 3 individual seat settings, our unlock and our lock button. Down along the side, we've got the ability to fold in the windows, so we've got power folding windows, and we can open those back up. We've got the ability to select whatever window is going to be adjusted, our adjusting buttons, window up and down. Along the side, so as you can see, so we've got side of the steering wheel, I should say. So we've got our fog lamps, we've got the ability to select what's happening with our running lamps. I always recommend keeping it on the A setting, and the reason why is because that's the auto lamp setting. It means the vehicle is going to determine if the nighttime or the daytime lights are running, and it's all going to be dependent on how bright is it outside. From there, we've got our dimmer switches, so that's going to make the screen darker or brighter. And we've also got a couple other things. So this is going to be our trunk release, and we've also got our traction control on or off. Very, very straightforward. Now, when it comes to adjusting the seat on this thing, also very straightforward. So as you can see here, we've got a ton of different options. So we can move a number of individual portions and parts of the seat, moving different things up and down. So we've got the ability to move our legs up and down there. We can move our seat forwards, backwards. We can even move the headrest up and down. So really, really neat, the options that you've got with the abilities on this thing. And we've also got our lumbar support, so our power lumbar support. So really, really useful stuff there. Now, as we get into the side, so along our steering wheel, as you can see, we've also got the ability to adjust the wheel. It's telescopic, so we can move it in, out, we can go up and down with it. And that's part of the seat memory buttons as well. So with our seat memory, if we do have the steering wheel set up, if we've got our seat set up and our side view mirrors, we're just gonna press and hold 1, 2, or 3, and that's going to remember our settings. Okay, as we hop inside of this thing, so this is the Sync 3 screen that's available in the Lincoln Nautilus. So this is going to be standard. Now, one thing that you may notice along the side, so we do have our gear shifting buttons along the side there. So we've got our park, reverse, neutral, drive, and then our sport mode. So the sport mode really gives you better control over the paddle shifters. We've got our plus and our minus buttons there. As we start to move down, we still do have a CD player as well, which is really, really neat. A little bit antique. I love the fact that Lincoln's included this in there. And this is a screen we're going to be met with when the vehicle's turned on. We've got our map settings. We've got whatever station's currently playing. If our phone was connected, it would show up there. We can turn our heated steering wheel on or off as well. We've got some basic audio settings, some more advanced climate settings, because we've got some basic settings, but this gives us more advanced settings, such as where is it blowing? Is it going to the windshield, to our face, or to our feet? Rear window defroster, we can increase or decrease the fan, and we've got dual zone climate control. So we can control the dual zone climate control there, or we can control it down here as well. Moving into our phone settings, we can have a number of different phones set up. Navigation, built-in factory navigation. Now, one thing to point out is that the vehicle is equipped with Ford and Lincoln's Sync 3 system that gives you the ability to use Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. So if you'd prefer to use the Waze map, Apple Maps, Google Maps, whatever the case may be, you can do that directly through the center console screen, which is really, really nice. You just need to be connected to Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, etc. to be able to do it. As we jump back home, we've got a number of different advanced settings. So a few things to look at. We've got some basic vehicle settings, so nothing too crazy, overly exciting. Camera settings, nothing overly exciting there. Voice control, we've got some basic options there as well. Now, if you want to get more in-depth look into the Sync 3 system, take a look in the description below. I've done a full review of the vehicle talking about every little thing you might want to know about this thing. But as we start to move along the side, as you can see, we've got our A button. That's the auto start stop. So that's the one that's going to potentially kill power to the engine when you're stopped at a light. This is going to be our park assist button, which gives us the ability to help out with parallel and perpendicular parking. And from there, we've got our button for the 360 camera. So as that one comes on, let's press that one more time. There we go, perfect. All right, so as you can see there, we've got our basic 360 camera, very, very nice view. We can press the button again to get a front partial view, and then a front 180-degree view from there. Pressing it one more time. Next up is going to be our reverse sensing system. So that beeping that we get as we start to get closer to an obstacle behind us. You can turn that on or off. As we start to move down, we've got our auto hold setting. Auto hold setting, with that one turned on, it's going to hold the vehicle in place. So if you're stopped at a light, a stop sign, whatever, or just in general, if you take your foot off the brake, it's going to keep the car in place. We've got the ability to open up the glove box there, so nice spacing. And as we start to move down, we've got a couple other things. So we've got our power buttons there, we've got our windshield defroster, we've got our air conditioning, air circulation button, and we've got our heated and cooled front seats. From there, we've got the ability to let the vehicle decide if it's going to be dual zone or single zone climate control as well. Lifting this up, as you can see, we've got a ton of spacing now. So we've got a wireless charging pad. I don't know if you can make that out there. We've also got a USB port. So very, very straightforward. Now, one thing to note, don't pull this down in order to be able to close it. What we're going to do is actually just push. So we're going to push and close. From there, we've got some cup holders, and we've also got a little tray. Close it down and open it back up again. As you can see there, we've got our cigarette lighter adapter and another USB port. Close and lock into place. All right, now as we get into the screen, so we've got a very, very beautiful digital dash, really, really nice look. It's very, very basic. There are some other things that we can add into the screen as well. It's all going to be dependent on your own personal preference. So as we take a look, let's actually back up to the steering wheel for a second. So along our left-hand side, we've got our rockers, so we can adjust whatever song's currently playing. We can increase or decrease the volume by moving this up and down as well. So we can adjust the volume from the steering wheel. We can adjust the volume from there as well. As we start to move down, the vehicle is equipped with adaptive cruise control. Now, if you've never used adaptive cruise control before, you are going to love it once you get the hang of it. Adaptive cruise is essentially a set it and forget it cruise control. So let's say if you've got cruise control, adaptive cruise turned on the highway, you're going, let's say 120 on the highway, car in front of you slows down, yours will automatically brake as well. If they pick up speed or get out of the way, yours will pick back up to speed again, which is really, really nice. So very, very straightforward to use the system. We would literally just turn it on. As you can see, we've got some lanes that have shown up there. And that's the distance indicator. It's going to let us know how close or how far away we are from the vehicle that's in front of us. We've got 4 individual settings there. Once you're up to speed, you're just going to set in order to, you're going to press the button there in order to set, and then we can either increase or decrease 1 kilometer or 1 mile per hour at a time. From there, we can either cancel the cruise control out or we can turn it off completely. So very, very straightforward. As we move down on our right side, so we've got very, very simple rockers there. So we can go up and down with the rocker in order to look at different screens. So we've got our tire pressure screen, trip indicators, things like that. This is going to be our basic back button and our voice command button. Voice command button is going to let you change the radio station. You can make phone calls, or you can use navigation directly by pressing this button. As we start to move down, we can answer a call, we can hang up on a phone call, we can change our display settings there as well. So what's going to be displayed, what gauges are there. So we can say speedometer, our eco coach, or the tachometer as well. So see there, now it's just kind of made the screen look a little bit different, so a little bit more traditional. As we start to move down, we've got the ability to see what's currently playing, so our audio sources. Press that hotkey to get rid of it, and we've also got, so let's go navigation first, and we can look at our basic navigation settings. So home, destinations, favorites, nearby point of interest, As we move into our settings, that's when we get into some more advanced settings. So things like the driver control, driver assistance. The driver assistance, so there are a number of different settings there. So we've got our blind spot system. That's the one that's going to highlight orange on the side view mirrors if anybody's entered the blind spot on either side. Cross traffic alert, if there's a vehicle coming perpendicular, it's going to let us know that there's a potential collision. Cruise control, couple different types, either the normal or the adaptive. We've got our driver alert, which is tied into the lane keeping system. So the lane keeping system works 3 different ways. First way is if you start to veer over into a lane without signaling, it's going to shake the steering wheel a little bit, almost as if you're running over rumble pavement. Second way is it's going to recenter you and actually pull you back into your lane. Third way is it's going to do a mixture of both. It'll give you a little bit of steering wheel shake and it's going to recenter you and pull you back into your lane. So very, very straightforward there, really a matter of preference. If you don't want the lane keeping system going whatsoever, just on our left-hand stick, as you can see, we can turn that system on or off. And we know it's on when we see those bowling alley lanes show up. Now here's the thing, the vehicle itself may have the lane keeping system on, but it's not actually activated until you hit about 62 kilometers an hour. And you know it's activated because these lanes will go green. As you start to veer over into a lane without signaling or start drifting over into a lane, whatever lane you're riding was going to go red, the vehicle will then take over the steering wheel and pull you back into your lane. Really, really straightforward. As we get into some other settings, we've got some more driver settings, so pre-collision assist, and then our trailer sway as well. And from there, we've got some other basic settings. Again, go into the full video in the description to get a full walk around about how those different settings work. Then along our side, so we've got the ability to select how much steering wheel or how much windshield wiper fluid is going to be out as we use the windshield wipers. We can pull towards us for the front, push away for the back, and we've got the ability to turn our rear wiper on there as well. Along our left-hand stick, we've got the ability to push away for our high beams. We can pull towards us for the high beams. We can turn the lane keeping system on or off. And the most important thing, our blinkers. We've got the ability to turn those on as well. Very, very straightforward. And that's going to be the basics of this vehicle. Okay, so that is going to be the basics of the 2020 Lincoln Nautilus. Whether you decide to go for the Nautilus or not, obviously matter of personal preference, but if you need more space than the Lincoln Corsair has to offer, the Nautilus is a good catch size between the Corsair and the Aviator. I'm not gonna lie, that brown color is kind of growing on me a little bit. It's not quite as nice as the blues, not as nice as some of the other ones, but still, it's a little bit unique. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, ask them down below. Give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and consider subscribing to the channel as well. Until I see you guys next time, stay safe.